we're spending more time on the JFK files and the show that I did last night, just because I think it tells you everything you need to know about what's happening today, and you won't understand that until you really watch the show. But I think this is a direct replay of what happened during the Kennedy times and possibly what happened during Nixon's tenure and what's happening right now to Donald Trump. And it is so important that you understand this, because you will understand why people are protesting in the streets, why this non-grassroots, or as Nancy Pelosi would say, AstroTurf protests are coming up so quickly and so oddly with something like USAID. You'll figure that out as you watch this special last night. But at the end of the special, and it's only available on Blaze TV right now, is when I went out and fired an exact copy of what's his name, Oswald's gun. Same gun. I mean, we don't know of another one like it because it has the exact same modifications that Oswald made to his, and we shot the exact same bullets, the rounds. These were about $40 a piece because they were antique. We literally went and got the same bullets from the same batch to see what would happen. We made a few shots with that, and then the firing pin went bad, so I had to switch guns, but it's the same kind of thing, and I think I had a harder shot than even Oswald did. And you'll see what happened. But where we did this was up the side-by-side ranch. This is in Oklahoma, and it is an unbelievable shooting ranch. I mean, it's just, I was up there, and I said to Scott, the owner, I said, I think I'd like to live here, quite honestly. It is an unbelievable place. If you're into shooting or anything else, you should check this out. But Scott is the owner of it. Now, let me just tell you who he is first. So before we talk to him. He began shooting at 7 because his dad was a member of the Air Force competitive trap team. And he was a great trap shooter, inductee of the California State Trap Hall of Fame, blah, blah, blah. He was also a professional coach and instructor. He was the first team captain for Team USA in 1985. Now, his son becomes a competitive shooter, this Scott, I'm introducing you to here in a second. He was a professional shooter for Beretta Firearms for 28 years. I've seen him do his exhibition events, and it's almost like Annie Oakley, where you throw a quarter up and he shoots it. I mean, he does that. He's in the Sporting Clays Hall of Fame, won over 14 national championships. He is the current national record holder in the small gauge champion, 8 world championships, named to all 54 American teams in trap. He's also the only competitive clay target athlete in the history of American sporting clays, 25 years running, to average over 90% consistently. The guy is really good. But what has he done with his life? I don't know. Not much. Here's Scott Robertson. Scott, welcome to the program.
Thanks, Glenn. Thanks for having me.
First of all, you're too good of a shot to have sat in that tractor pulling that vehicle that I was shooting at to recreate the Oswald shot. I don't know why you did that. We were asking, can you want to get a longer chain? Because I don't know. And you didn't, but thank you for pulling the tractor and pulling that car. Tell me about the shot. Go ahead.
Well, Glenn, we got to give your audience a little context, right? I mean, you don't have me on because I'm a good shooter. You mainly have me on because I'm the only one crazy enough to actually get in the tractor.
Yes.
The reason I'm here really is because I do have a gun club about a mile from Blaze Studios. Yep. And I'm the guy that you call when you have one of those harebrained ideas. I mean, if you remember a couple of years ago, you came with the gun, chainsaw, multi-purpose, whatever that zombie thing was. Right.
Yeah. Okay. It's great.
So, and then, last week, my GM, who happens to be my best friend, says, hey, Glenn's guys called, and they want to recreate the JFK deal. And I went, oh, crap. Glenn, you're that friend that when people call, you're like, how much time and money is this going to cost? Right?
Sorry. I'm sorry, Scott. I'm sorry.
What is Glenn up to now? So,
Yeah.
Jason calls, and we have 3 days to recreate the deal and come up with an elevated platform. Glenn wants a moving target. It has to have, but you're left-handed and a right-handed gun. And, I'm like, oh, my God. So, when Jason gets up there earlier, he says, well, how long is your chain? I said, well, I don't know. We could put some together. So I put the 20-foot, a bat wing on the tractor, and then a 20-foot chain. He goes, I don't know that that's long enough. So we had another chain, and with the angle, I couldn't hardly get it long enough. But
I know. That last shot, if I were a bad shot, the last shot, was not good for you. Let's put it that way.
Well, I just want you to know, when you turn to the staff and you say, hey, what do you guys think about this? When they pause, that's pretty much them saying to their boss, this is a really dumb idea. Okay? I just want you to think about that.
But as it turns out, right.
They don't say, Glenn, that sounds great. That's them saying, this is really a bad idea. So,
but as it turned out, it wasn't, was it?
Well, look, I want you to know, I am proud of you because, you always say do your own homework. And from the last time I saw you shoot a couple years ago at the range, you have been doing your homework, and I am sincerely impressed because, people, this was, those shots that we did, first of all, you did prove that the shot can be made. I mean, I didn't think it could be before you did it. And so I think, we proved that the shot could be made. I don't know. I'm still not convinced that's how it went down, but that's my own belief.
Right.
But
we did rule this out because I have heard my whole life that, it's a very difficult shot. Very few people could make that shot. I made that shot. And I think the shot I made was more difficult. We had the wind against us, and it wasn't a paved street the car was on. That truck was bumping, going up and down all the time. That was a difficult shot. And I don't consider myself a decent shooter on with rifles and scopes.
Well, I will tell you, I am impressed because first of all, I'm in this tractor, and I'm thinking, I'm not sure this is a good idea. Now, you got to understand, I do lots of sketchy stuff. I shoot one-handed off a bike and do all kinds of crazy stuff, pogo stick. So if I'm a little nervous, that's pretty sketchy. And so you're up on this tower with 6 or 8 people. I have this hunt truck that has this big lift, and it's wobbly. So then the radio and Jason's like, oh, the range is hot. And I'm looking at what seems to be down a barrel of a, high-powered rifle with you up there with the
right.
I'm thinking, boy, this is okay. I'm really hoping that Glenn's been practicing. But anyway, I'm pulling this truck at 11 miles an hour, and it's in one of my fields, so it's bouncing up and down. Those balloons had to be bouncing probably 10 to 12 inches, high to low. And I'm thinking, we are going to have to do this 10 times today, right? This is going to take 10 takes. And then I look back and I see the first balloon explode, and I'm like, well, good for you, Glenn. You got one. Okay, we can always go to B-roll. And then you hit the next balloon, and then the truck is bouncing like crazy because there's a lag between the second shot and the third shot.
Yeah.
And I'm thinking, wow. And then I see the third, balloon explode, and I'm like, I am not believing this. I mean, I'm impressed. It's not an easy shot, but even more the way that we had to do it with the moving vehicle and the up and down and the.
I think we both can say if I could do that, Oswald, the only thing he had that I didn't have was the pressure of killing the president, all the nerves. But I'm also left-handed, right-handed gun. We had other things going on that I think balanced things out. So I really believe he could have made the shot. Now, tell what we found at the end that bothered you, that you brought up.
Well, what was interesting is the grouping in the front windshield. So the bullet went back, it went through the balloon, which represented, the target, and then went through the windshield, the back glass, and then all 3 bullets lodged in a very small group in the front windshield. And so first thing I thought was interesting is how offset it was. It wasn't on the right side of the car. It was on the left side of the car. Right. So that was just interesting with the angle, because we pretty much had the exact angles that it would have been in downtown Dallas that day. The other thing that I found interesting was that even though the truck was moving and there was a distance, we had the balloons lined up in such a way to represent stagnant in the car. And what was interesting was that all of the bullets landed in the front windshield in a small enough group that really asked more questions than we answered. Right?
It did.
Why was the guy why was the driver not hit? Why was the passenger not hit more than one time? Right. So a lot of these things were weird. And so it really,
the way it came out with us, the driver should have been killed. The driver absolutely should have been at least hit, but could have been killed. It would have at least, the way we did it, it was too high up because we weren't 6 stories up. We were about 2. So it would have gone into his back instead of where we had it. Would have gone right through his head. But I went through the Warren Commission, and it said that, the first bullet landed in the street someplace. It was such a bad shot. It didn't even enter the car, just landed in the street, and the kid was hit by a piece of the curb that broke off and hit him. And the headshot, they say that the headshot, the bullet completely disintegrated and broke up, so they've never found any pieces of that bullet. Is that even possible?
No, no. One of these days you should research the Bill Cooper video. That's the one that makes more logical sense to me. But that's a whole nother conspiracy. But if you watch that video, it does make more sense that he was actually shot with a CIA air pistol, and there was also poison in the bullet. That's why they had to change the brain out in Dallas. So that I kind of come up more in that deal. But the real question, when you start looking at the ballistics of it, is when you shot that shot, the first shot being a miss. I don't really buy that, because how does a guy make 2 shots in a head at twice the distance of the first shot, and the first shot is not found? Because that first shot, you have to admit, that was probably the easiest shot, right?
Oh, it was easy. I was more concerned about the other one. It was at a steeper angle. I mean, it was difficult.
100%. And so if Oswald is good enough to hit the president, one in the neck and one in the head, you're telling me that he's going to completely miss the car when in your scope all you would see is car? It doesn't make any sense.
No.
Right? So it's kind of hard to believe that the first shot was a miss. And then when we start looking at the angles and the ballistics of what we did, I have to ask more questions, because it just doesn't make any sense. You don't have a miss and then you have 2 good shots like that. And then the angle of it, how is the passenger hit, not the driver? It's just a lot of questions there.
So, Scott, I've only got less than a minute here. I just want to say, and you might say, I'm not sure that's a really good idea, but I'd like to recreate the Butler shooting, because that just seems like the easiest shot of all time compared to Oswald. That seems simple, really simple.
Well, not only simple is the Butler shooting. I would like to do that with you, because I think we're going to find in Butler that we could take anybody off the street and they would make that shot 99 times out of 100.
Yep. Okay, Scott, thank you so much. I appreciate it. He is the owner of Elm Fork Shooting Sports and also Side by Side Ranch, founder and co-owner, and I just can't thank you enough, Scott. We'll talk to you again.